Back with another episode of Crossover with your hosts Ravi and Brian. We're giving you our final summation, let's put it that way. Sorry about that. We're getting all choked up with the finals, but with the final summation on what we thought, how we thought the series ended up, from the last one when we spoke. So, and we're going to get into a little discussion of some trades and draft talk before we're done here. So, Ravi, man, what do you think about, what are your thoughts about the finals so far?
Well, we've had a week now to let it sink in.
Uh-huh.
We see the championship parades, the champagne baths. We've seen it all in the past week.
Yes. And Riley Curry as well.
We've seen it all. I think it was no big surprise. I think the finals netted out the same way I had anticipated. I called it 4-2 for Golden State going into it, and that's exactly what it was. I think, obviously, in the first 3 games, LeBron really set the tone there. I don't think anyone was expecting to come out the way they did, especially after Kyrie went down in Game 1. But yeah, I mean, they really kind of changed the tone to a certain extent of the finals after Game 2 and 3. Most definitely. I mean, no big surprise. I think it's the better team is going to win. So the better be the best player regardless in those types of situations. So.
Right. Well, as I said before, I had Cleveland 6 before Kyrie got hurt, so I stuck with my opinion. I felt the size would give them problems, which it did give them problems.
You called that. You totally called that.
Yeah, I think LeBron had the best quote about the whole thing, where he kind of phrased it as they just ran out of talent, which is really what it came down to. You got great size, but at some point, the longer a series goes, I haven't noticed. So fatigue was part of it. No two ways about it, but I think when it came down to it, it was just talent. Like guys are tired. I get that, but I think the fatigue plays into it a bit as well too. The less talented guys are gonna have more trouble with the fatigue in this case here. And after Game 3, Dellavedova was done. That was it for him. Pretty much the guards were just atrocious for the most part through the whole series, except for that one game with Dellavedova. But for the most part, the perimeter players they're getting nothing out of them, Cleveland. And in Golden State, I mean, I'm not trying to come off salty in this sense, but obviously they're the champions, but I never seen a championship team that I've had so much trouble grasping how good they are or not. And what I mean by that is that, can you recall one game? I can think of one game in the last 3 series I can think of that where Golden State played a complete game. And maybe it's the style of play they play, because they take so many threes, that it's so hit and miss that you're gonna have these up and down, these violent fluctuations with their game. That I guess I just have to get used to. Maybe it's the new style of play or something like that I have to get used to. But I just found you'll watch them. It's okay, they play a quarter and a half, and they'll find a way to get away with it. And you're sitting there going, I can only recall one game, the Houston Game 3. When it annihilated Houston.
Yeah.
But besides that, games they even won, I just found it very, it's an interesting, I guess it's just the way in their style of play when it comes down to it, where it's really? I just never felt like they played a full series at maybe their capacity, or maybe that is their capacity, it's their style of play, but it was a strange way how I viewed Golden State and how I watched it. Because when I watched the games, for the exception of Game 6, and I would say Game
4.
Game 4 probably. I don't even think 5. People forget Cleveland was up 1 or 2 with about 6 minutes left to go. They were up 8 in the first half. I didn't even think in that game. How they play is just. I'll be curious to see if this is a trend where you see other teams have this style of play, and maybe it's just the way the style of play is that you're never going to see a team just be controlling a game. They'll just have these explosions, and you're trying to hold back the dam if you're the opposing team. Maybe that's the way it is. Maybe that's just a Golden State thing because the type of personnel they have, that's just them, and it might just be that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think it's the type of players they have. It's the style that they play specifically. I think even in some of the Houston games too, they were pretty close going into the fourth quarter.
If you watch,
and then they just kind of blew it open.
That's what I'm saying. If you watch the first 2 games against Houston, and you just had to if you just didn't have a score in front of you, you're just watching the game. I think most people say that Houston was actually the team that was controlling the game and was winning the game. Those first two games. If I'm watching the game, I feel like Houston should be up like 8 points, and yet it scores like a 2-point game. I think it's just their style. I mean, we mentioned New Orleans last week. It's the same thing where it's like, there's a couple of games there. It's like, really? We already know the 20-point game already, so we can put that with the bank. But even game 2, I think they had times where it's like a championship squad. Like, and I guess how I recall other championship teams, you can see those teams kind of getting chokeholds on teams. You know, you have to last year with the Spurs. You can see that where I never saw that with this team. You know, with this team, man. Hey, man, more props to him, man. Congratulations to Golden State. I think it's just an interesting way. I'm not sure if there's a revolution or is it just more to do with your point, the personnel of Golden State that creates this. Because I'm curious to see now if everybody's going to start running around trying to find every 3-point shooter they can find on the city block. Because I don't think that's going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have your shooter, but you still have to have that inside presence. I mean, you obviously, like you said, you totally called it with regards to Cleveland's size.
Well, yeah,
how it affected them. So you still need those bigs and effective post players.
But I think
squad.
But I think here's the other thing I think you need too. And this is the reason why teams like the Raptors and Washington and all these other teams in Portland aren't making the finals in this case. And this is time and time again. This part hasn't changed in like 60 years of basketball, at least professional basketball. You have to have a once in a generation type talent for wherever the kid. So here you have now Curry, who is arguably somebody say the best shooter that we've seen in the last 30 years.
Well, I think what was the stat? He made 40 more threes than anyone else.
So you have to have someone that is like just off the scale compared to what the average even star player is. Obviously LeBron, same thing. You need that type of guy. You just can't have just just do it. You know, God bless him. Reggie Miller, a fantastic scorer and stuff like that. But he wasn't that type of guy. That's why he got no rings. You need Tim Duncan, top 10, top 5, best power forward ever type. You need that type of dude.
Exactly.
And if you don't have that type of dude, then it's gonna be hard for you to wait. Keep going down. Keep going down the line.
Yeah, the last team I would say in the last 15 years that I didn't have that was Detroit.
That's right. It's Detroit.
That was the last one. Yeah.
Right. It's Detroit. I'm not talking about Bad Boys Detroit. I'm talking about Detroit of like Chauncey Billups. Because even the Bad Boys in this case have arguably the best small guard ever played the game. You don't get to get dudes like just sitting on trees like, hey, I just take this guy. You gotta be something that's just special and just something that's like, then build around that type of talent. So I think that's always been consistent. I think it remained the same. Props to Golden State for doing their thing. I must admit, I just want to say a special thanks to LeBron for making the series a tad bit interesting and compelling. Because I must admit, we were at your house watching Game 1, and my heart sank when I saw Irving getting taken out. I was like, oh, Lord. I thought first thing was going to be sweet. It just felt sweet. And then you're feeling like, good Lord, this is going to be like 20. I just saw Cleveland, San Antonio all over again. It's going to be 20-point games all over again. Like, you don't want a series or a finals end like that. It's like, or even last year, it's like, I mean, I don't care who you're rooting for. It's like, you just want some interesting games, man. So, shout out, thank God LeBron made that interesting to watch for 6 games, man. Because my goodness, I was looking forward to another 20-point blow up for again like last season when Miami decided to upchuck the thing after Game 3. And they left the game back in San Antonio, so that's a whole other thing. But anyways, man, it was a good series. Props to Mark Jackson too, man. The professionalism he showed through the series, man. That takes a lot in this case to kind of for a man or for a human being to take that, what you're seeing there. Whatever you think your thoughts on Mark Jackson or how he coached the team, he had something to do with the success they had there, and for him to watch that and be so professional about it, I tip my cap to him in this case here on that one, man. That's just my thoughts on it, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. He was in a tough position kind of to call the games, especially given the circumstances.
Exactly.
Right? And I think even after the last game, he gave Steve Kerr props on winning it, and called the job that he did as well too. So
if you're watching, as I said, go back and do the test and say you take your you take your loving fiance, you take my wife, you take anybody that doesn't really watch basketball on the regular. And they had to sit down there. I don't think anyone would ever know that this guy was just a year ago coaching this team and how he got fired.
That's exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, props to him on that. Anyways, man, we move on now.
Well, before we segue there, I just want to call I've been reading the blogs, listening to some of the shows since the last week, and you have guys already putting, they're putting the asterisk on the championship because certain guys were injured and things like that. And I want to call out these guys because true basketball historians like you and myself will remember the 1989 NBA Finals when your Pistons beat the Lakers.
Yes.
Byron Scott went down first game, out for the series, injured hamstring.
Yes.
Magic went down game 2, injured hamstring. Yeah. He was gone for the series.
Magic played the series.
No, he was gone after game 2 with injured hamstring.
Yes, that was a sweep.
Yes, that was a 4-0 sweep. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, you can only play what's out there.
Exactly. When it's all said and done, it's a bad break. And therefore, I feel for LeBron in that sense that he seems to always have these teammates that fall apart in the thing. But as I said before, ain't no remembering that 10 years from now. We can remember just now at Magic. I had forgotten until the sweep was like. But to your point, I mean, you go back the year before in '87. Mm-hmm. If Isaiah doesn't mess up his ankle in this case here, are we even talking about Game 7 in Los Angeles?
Exactly.
So ifs and buts and candies and nuts and the whole thing. Like, it is what it is. We've already dealt with that with Miami for years, with Wade his one leg in this case here. We go through how much this will happen. That it is what it is, man. Better team won when it's all said and done. It does suck in that sense, but as I said before, thanks to LeBron for making it compelling at least. But let's move on to some fun that's happening this week. Oh boy. And now the rest of the league now is involved. It's almost like at this point here, once we knew that the writing was on the wall, the rest of the league said, okay, time for us to enter stage left. And now, this week, and by the way, a side note, man, you want to go watch the draft or whatever? Was it on Thursday or Wednesday?
I believe it's on Thursday.
Here we are at the basketball podcast, so I can't remember exactly Thursday or Wednesday. It's been a crazy week, folks. Let's put it that way. Yeah. It's usually Wednesday, but just double check it with my colleague here. But if you want to swing by, man, it's cool, man. Just make your arrangements right here in front of you.
Hey, it's all good.
All right, so here's...
We're very transparent here on the show.
Exactly. So here's my thing. Okay, so I'm not going to get a couple notes, things leading into the draft. Okafor looks like he's starting to drop a little bit, which is interesting. Rumor has it might be 3rd pick, 4th pick maybe. So now, if you're the Knickerbockers and he drops you at 4, because let's face it, Philadelphia's got Embiid, who rumor has it still hurt. So and knowing Philadelphia, you never know, they might just draft Okafor anyhow. So you never know with them. So that's not guaranteed. Let's assume Philadelphia decides they're going to go and they're going to take themselves a guard or a swingman. Mm-hmm. I like the boy from Duke, actually, by the way, so that's for UT. I like his teammate better. I like Justice much better. But that said, Okafor played center. Phil's on ESPN today, kind of play hedging his bets, but Phil is still old school to some extent. Does he take the big man at 4?
Well, I think he should take him at 4. I think at this point, what the Knicks have to do, they can't look at what they need by position.
They just need talent.
The best player, exactly.
Yeah.
They have to go with the best talent available at their pick. I'm surprised we even saw Phil out there, and he even sent a representative on the show today. So.
Well, it's in the Garden, right? It's in New York. It's the draft. So he doesn't go anywhere for this.
He doesn't go far, right?
So, geez, Phil getting killed. How fast can a legacy be tarnished?
Hey, man.
That's what the Knicks will do for you.
You're not in the red and black and purple and gold, Phil. I'm sorry.
Blue and orange ain't doing it.
That's not cutting it for me.
But I kind of agree with you on that one, even though I do question a little bit about Okafor's. I guess the debate is that this going back to our, actually it kind of goes back to our other question about is the league changing and your reliance on having a big man being a scoring threat, because it's becoming easier and easier to guard the post, or at least more difficult to guard the post. I mean to get the ball in the post. So Okafor is a classic low post big man. Now, I'm not saying in this case he can't have the other elements to his game. He's got a nice little mid-range jump shot already. So he follows Tim Duncan, not a bad guy to follow in this case, in the dream. So I mean, to your point, I think the talent is there. My only question is his talent that much better than, say, his teammate in this case Winslow, who I personally like better, because I think, to me, You know, he's got the type of physique and and game that's kind of like today's game. A swingman, 6'7", 6'8", can shoot, defend. You know, can get the hoop.
Now here's a trade-off, because you can either go with the guy who you think is going to have an impact right off the block.
Yeah.
Or you can go with the guy who you think will have the bigger long-term impact.
Well, that's an interesting question, because obviously I think you're thinking one way and I'm thinking the other way. And what I mean by that is you're thinking in this case here that the center in this case will have the longer-term impact.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in reverse.
No, I'm not. No, I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking.
Right, because I'm thinking this.
I'm thinking Winslow will have he'll have the.
But true, and I think I guess at least what I think the point is, let's face it, we all know guards in this case develop faster. So for a team in this case that needs impact right now, am I waiting for Okafor to kind of get his legs and wait year 1, year 2, and so on? Well, I can get a guy playing right now and just run, just run up and down the court, like Now here's the thing: now if you get a guy like that, can he? It's always the 8,000-pound gorilla. Can he play with a guy like Carmelo? At that point, you got to start thinking like, okay, if I get a Winslow, this is what I think in New York's thinking. If I get Winslow, I am now forcing my hand to make a move on Carmelo, because that can't work. But if I take a Okafor, I can still possibly have Okafor and Carmelo play right now together. And to your point, the big man doesn't have to get forced in this case, but have a primary scorer. That's correct. Yeah, so in that sense, even though I don't think Carmelo's ever played with a legitimate post player. So that's a whole other debate. That's a whole other debate, my friend.
Yeah, no, he's never had me. Go back to his Denver days. Who did he have in Denver? I think he had like Kenyon Martin.
Yeah, Nene and things like Yeah, in the early days, they're not really focal points, man.
No.
They're not focal points.
Hilario.
Yeah, that's what he was just. He didn't get big enough for the Nene. Anyways, let's move on from the Knickerbockers, because let's get the gold and purple, because they seem to be rumbling today with some news. They're so greasy, always up to no good.
Hey, man.
In the hood.
All they're doing is trying to flip their assets.
That's all they're trying to do, huh? Inglewood. So, if those of you that don't know yet, there's been a lot of rumblings, in this case in Lakerland, of a potential DeMarcus Cousins deal coming down the pike, at least trying to get something done. The only thing is probably the Lakers are so vexed that this leaked out, because now all of a sudden everyone and their cousin, because Danny Ainge is licking his chops now, say, yo, what are they giving you? Let's talk. So.
Well, this has actually been, I think the Cousins talk has been, it's been in discussions for the past, I would say like over a month now.
Yeah.
The Lakers have been looking at.
But it's burning hot now, though. It's burning hot now. I think everyone saw a month ago. Like,
they haven't.
Yeah. Well, can you really see Cousins and Kobe on the same team for even a year?
Hey man, I think it's gonna work. I think at this point the Lakers are not. They're not concerned about what Kobe likes and Kobe doesn't like at this point.
Well, that's all fine and dandy for them to say so when they're in a boardroom and it's in June, but when it's like October or it's November and they start the season, and now the ball now is on the court. And number he's wearing 8 or 23 or 24, whatever he might be wearing this year. Look, when it's all said and done, if he wants the ball, he can get the ball. So they can talk all they want right now in this theoretical world. When 24 gets on the court, he's gonna give me the damn rock. That's what he's gonna say. That's why the DeMarcus Cousins or anyone else. Screw you.
Let me tell you something. He knows this is his last year, and he if he wants to go, if he wants the season to be over by mid-February, he'll keep doing that.
Ravi, you're oh jeez, you're like a shrink. I gotta talk to you, man. Like, how many years we've had the discussion, and how many times I have to tell you, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck is a duck. Kobe's not gonna change. He is what he is. He ain't changing in year 18 or 19 of the year. All of a sudden, all of a sudden now he find the gospel. All of a sudden, he ain't doing that. He is what he is.
I'm not. He is what he is, but I'm not saying he's coming out scoring 10 points a game. But at the same time, you can't. If you have a point to get, if you have a chance to get Cousins off the squad, you can't worry about what Kobe wants or what he doesn't.
But that's only a theoretical mindset. When he gets in the court, he's not acquiescing to nobody.
Well,
I mean, like, he done told Shaq in his prime, like, the heck with you. He done told.
He was in his prime as well.
He wasn't in his prime yet. His prime was just at the tail end of that thing. He was not getting his prime. I talk about him at 20 and things like that, telling Shaq, I got this.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think on the court he has that same. I mean, these players. Do you think DeMarcus Cousins is going to sit there and be Pau Gasol and not say anything to him?
Now, he might say something. Don't make a difference, though. Don't make a difference. Dwight said stuff to him behind his own. It didn't make a difference.
Dwight's a different cat. Dwight was getting.
Whoa. Okay, personality aside, who's got more accomplishment at this point here? Dwight Howard or DeMarcus Cousins?
No, I'm not questioning who has more accomplishments,
right.
But it's who's actually going to get in your face more about it.
But my point is, in this case, is that if you have a certain set of clout, it don't matter what your standing is. Kobe's like, screw you. Steve Nash, a Hall of Fame point guard. 2-time MVP. You think Kobe cared about that? Heck no.
No, man. I think it'll be a little different this year. I'm not saying personality-wise on the court. I'm not saying he's coming out trying to, average a double-double with assists or anything like that. But, I think it's a different mindset going into this season. To a certain
okay. All right. I'll leave it at that then. I'll leave it at that with Kobe being Brian. You're here, folks. Ravi says a different mindset.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent. Caveat there, appropriate.
To a certain extent.
We'll find out what that extent is. Oh, man.
I'm not saying the second coming of Magic Johnson you're going to see for the last year, but I'm saying it's a different mindset to a certain extent.
Hey, man, I don't dig any further, man. Just let it go, man. don't dig any further. We'll see. I have a feeling we play back this tape at some point in the fall, but hey, we'll let it go. I'll be like Frozen. We let it go, man. We let it go. Yes, I mean, boy, I love Laker fans, boy. They always think the good in Kobe.
Hey, man, I see. I kept it real classy. I didn't go in on LeBron for his finals performance.
Hey. There's nothing to go in about his finals performance.
I kept it pretty classy.
Okay. I'm talking about real talk on the court. We're talking about the Lakers. Hey, look, we haven't talked about the Lakers like 4 months. You should be happy we're talking about the Lakers.
Man, it's all, we'll be talking about them a lot when Russell Westbrook is in purple and gold.
Oh, good Lord. Anyways, on that note, folks, man, the draft should be interesting. I think it's pretty clear now that Towns, is going to be the #1 pick overall. And we'll see how it plays out. And sure, the Raptors will be picking some dude from from Argentina or Lithuania or Siberia. Who knows where? They'll take 10 years before.
They can't be North American born.
Well, yeah, before they take 10 years before he shows up here. So
yeah, that's a criteria.
Exactly right. So Raptor fans, that you're waiting to see a rookie actually play, good luck to you. Anyways, on that note, man, where can the good folks find you, Ravi?
You guys can find me at Mr. Ravi _Porvita.
And you can find me as always at Beyond Locker Room short form RM, man. Folks, enjoy the draft. We'll catch you on the other side, man. Peace.
Thursday night.